Daniel Carter was 71 years old, and for nearly 12 years, every morning began with the same unsettling routine. Before the sun even rose over his quiet suburban neighborhood, he would already be awake, sitting at his kitchen table with a dull, pounding pressure in his head and a faint tremor running through his fingers. It wasn't dramatic enough to send him to the emergency room, but it was persistent enough to make him uneasy every single day. He followed all the rules. He took his prescribed blood pressure medication religiously at exactly 8 o'clock a.m., never skipped a dose, avoided processed foods, and even went for short walks in the evening. From the outside, he was doing everything right. His doctor believed his condition was manageable, adjusting the dosage twice over the years, but never questioning the routine itself. Daniel accepted this as part of aging, but deep down he knew something wasn't adding up. Why did he feel worse at the same time every morning despite being so disciplined? Why did relief only come hours later? What no one realized, not even Daniel, was that the problem wasn't what he was taking, but when he was taking it, and that small detail was about to change everything he thought he knew about his health. Everything changed during what seemed like an ordinary checkup. Daniel met a new physician, Dr. Harris, who approached things differently. Instead of immediately reviewing lab reports or adjusting prescriptions, she asked a simple question that caught Daniel off guard. "What time do you take your medication?" He answered without hesitation, 8:00 a.m. every single day. She paused, then suggested something unexpected. "Let's try moving it to the evening, same medication, same dose, just a different time." It sounded almost too simple to matter. After all, how could timing make such a difference? But Daniel agreed to try it for 2 weeks. Within days, something shifted. The early morning headaches began to fade. The trembling in his hands became less noticeable. By the end of the second week, the change was undeniable. His blood pressure readings, especially those taken around 5 o'clock a.m., had dropped significantly. He felt calmer, more rested, and surprisingly energized when he woke up. When he returned for his follow-up, Dr. Harris reviewed the numbers and smiled. His cardiovascular profile looked better than it had in years. Nothing else had changed, not his diet, not his activity, not his medication, just the timing. That's when Daniel realized something profound. Sometimes the smallest adjustments can have the biggest impact. Before you rush to make the same change, there's something important you need to understand. Not every medication works the same way, and not every body responds identically. What worked for Daniel might not be right for you without proper guidance. But to understand why timing matters so much, you first need to understand what happens inside your body in the early hours of the morning. Doctors often refer to this as the morning surge. Between roughly 4 o'clock a.m. and 9 o'clock a.m., your body undergoes one of the most dramatic physiological changes of the entire day. Hormones like cortisol spike sharply, preparing your body to wake up and become active. At the same time, your nervous system ramps up, your blood vessels constrict, and your blood pressure naturally rises. This is a normal biological process, but for someone already dealing with hypertension, it can become dangerous. That sudden rise can add 20 to 30 points to your systolic pressure in just a short window. Imagine your heart and blood vessels suddenly being pushed harder right when you're least prepared. If your medication isn't fully active during this window, your body is essentially left unprotected at the most critical time of day. Think of your cardiovascular system like a highway. During the day, traffic flows steadily, sometimes heavy, sometimes light, but generally predictable. But early in the morning, it's like a sudden rush hour begins out of nowhere. The pressure builds quickly, the flow intensifies, and the entire system is under stress. For a healthy person, this surge is manageable. But for someone with high blood pressure, this is when problems are most likely to occur. In fact, studies have shown that heart attacks and strokes are significantly more common in the morning hours, especially between 6 o'clock a.m. and noon. This isn't a coincidence, it's directly linked to that biological surge. Now here's the critical question. Where is your medication during this rush hour? If you're taking your pill in the morning, it hasn't even had time to fully activate when the surge begins. Even worse, if you took it the previous morning, its effects may be wearing off by the time the next morning arrives. That creates a dangerous gap, a window where your body is under maximum stress with minimal protection, and most people don't even realize it's happening. Let's break it down even further in simple terms. Most blood pressure medications are designed to last between 12 and 24 hours. If you take your medication at 8 o'clock a.m., by the next day at 5 o'clock a.m., nearly a full day has passed. That means the concentration of the drug in your system is at its lowest point right when your body needs it the most. During the afternoon, your readings might look perfectly fine, which gives a false sense of control. Your doctor sees those numbers and assumes everything is working as intended. But what's happening in the early morning often goes unnoticed because it's rarely measured. This hidden gap between peak risk and lowest protection is where the real danger lies. It's like having a security system that works perfectly during the day but shuts off right when intruders are most likely to strike. Understanding this concept alone can completely change how you think about managing blood pressure. It's not just about what you take, it's about when your body needs it most. Here's something most people don't realize: the reason doctors have been recommending morning dosing for decades isn't necessarily because it's the best time for your heart. It's actually rooted in medical practices from over half a century ago. Back in the 1950s and 60 seconds, the first widely used blood pressure medications were strong diuretics. These drugs worked by forcing the body to eliminate excess fluid, which meant frequent trips to the bathroom. Patients who took them at night couldn't sleep because they were waking up every hour. To solve this, doctors shifted dosing to the morning. It worked, patients slept better, and over time that habit became standard medical advice. But here's the problem: modern medications are completely different. Most commonly prescribed drugs today don't cause that same issue. Yet the timing recommendations stayed the same, passed down from one generation of medical training to the next. It's not that doctors are wrong, it's that some habits simply continue without being re-examined. And when it comes to something as important as blood pressure, even a small outdated habit can quietly affect millions of people without them ever realizing it. Today's most common blood pressure medications like ACE inhibitors, ARBs, and calcium channel blockers work in entirely different ways compared to older drugs. Instead of flushing fluids out of your system, they help relax blood vessels or regulate hormonal signals that control pressure. This means they don't disrupt sleep the way older medications did. But despite this major difference, many people are still told to take them in the morning simply because that's how it's always been done. In reality, for many patients, this timing may not align with when their body actually needs the most support. Some cardiologists have openly admitted that timing is rarely discussed during appointments because there simply isn't enough time to go into that level of detail. So patients follow routines for years, sometimes decades, without ever questioning whether that timing is truly optimal for their body, and that's where the hidden opportunity lies. Because once you start thinking about timing differently, you begin to see your medication not just as a daily habit, but as a tool that can be strategically aligned with your body's natural rhythm. Over the past several years, researchers have started to explore this exact question: does timing actually change outcomes? And the findings have been eye-opening. In large-scale studies involving thousands of patients, those who took certain blood pressure medications at bedtime often experienced better overall control compared to those who took them in the morning. Some results even suggested lower risks of heart attacks, strokes, and other complications. Now, it's important to be honest, this area of research is still evolving, and not every study shows the exact same level of benefit. But one thing is becoming increasingly clear: the body doesn't operate randomly. It follows a predictable cycle, and aligning treatment with that cycle can improve effectiveness. Think of it like watering a plant. You don't just water it whenever it works best when done at the right time of day. In the same way, your medication may work better when it's time to support your body during its most vulnerable periods. Another key concept you need to understand is something called the nighttime dip. In a healthy body, blood pressure naturally drops during sleep, usually by about 10 to 20%. This drop isn't just a passive event. It's a critical recovery phase for your heart and blood vessels. It allows your cardiovascular system to rest, repair, and reset for the next day. But here's the issue: many people with hypertension, especially those over 60, don't experience this dip. Their blood pressure stays elevated all night long. This condition is often referred to as non-dipping, and it's more common than most people realize. The danger is that constant pressure puts ongoing stress on your arteries, kidneys, and even your brain. Over time, this can increase the risk of serious complications like strokes, memory decline, and heart strain. And the worst part? Most people have no idea it's happening because it occurs while they're asleep. This is where timing can play a powerful role. When medication is taken in the evening, it may help support that natural nighttime dip by lowering blood pressure during sleep. This gives your body the recovery window it desperately needs. At the same time, it ensures that when the morning surge hits, the medication is still active and working at near peak levels. It's like reinforcing your defenses right before a storm instead of after it's already passed. For many people, this simple shift can create a more balanced 24-hour control of blood pressure. But again, this isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. The key is understanding your own pattern and working with your doctor to find what timing aligns best with your body's rhythm. So what can you do right now? Start with awareness. Take a moment to think about your current routine. What time do you take your medication? Is it something you consciously chose, or something you were simply told to do years ago? Now think about when you feel your worst. For many people, symptoms like headaches, dizziness, or discomfort tend to show up early in the morning. If there's a mismatch between when your medication is strongest and when your body is under the most stress, that's a conversation worth having. Write it down. Track your readings if possible. Even a simple log can reveal patterns you might not have noticed before. Awareness alone can open the door to better decisions. Let's talk about something most people completely overlook: what you eat in the evening. Certain foods can quietly push your blood pressure in the wrong direction at exactly the worst time. For example, foods high in certain compounds, like aged cheeses or heavily processed items, can trigger your body to release chemicals that tighten blood vessels. This can raise your blood pressure just as your body is trying to wind down for sleep. It's not about completely avoiding these foods, it's about timing. What you eat at night can directly influence how your body behaves while you sleep. Choosing lighter, fresher options for dinner can support better overnight recovery and more stable morning readings. Your sleep position might seem like a small detail, but it can have a surprising impact. Sleeping flat on your back can increase the chances of breathing interruptions during the night, especially for people prone to snoring or sleep apnea. Each interruption can trigger a brief spike in blood pressure without you even waking up. Over the course of the night, these repeated spikes can add up. Sleeping on your side, particularly your left side, can help reduce this risk and support better circulation. It's a simple adjustment, but for some people, it can make a noticeable difference in how they feel in the morning. Hydration is another factor that's often misunderstood. Drinking a lot of water late at night might seem harmless, but it can disrupt your sleep. Waking up multiple times to use the bathroom interrupts your body's natural recovery cycle. Poor sleep quality is directly linked to higher stress hormone levels the next day, which can raise blood pressure. The solution isn't to drink less water overall, it's to shift your intake earlier in the day. Try to finish most of your hydration by early evening, allowing your body to rest uninterrupted through the night. Even your mental state before bed plays a role. Watching stressful news, scrolling through negative content, or engaging in arguments can activate your body's stress response. Your brain doesn't always distinguish between real threats and emotional ones. As a result, your heart rate increases, your blood vessels tighten, and your blood pressure rises even if you're just sitting on the couch. Creating a calm, low-stress environment before bed can help your body transition into its natural recovery mode. Something as simple as reading, listening to soft music, or avoiding screens can make a difference. Now let's talk about something critical. Not all medications should be taken at night. This is where many people can make a mistake if they act without proper guidance. Diuretics, for example, are designed to increase urine production. Taking them before bed can lead to frequent trips to the bathroom, completely disrupting your sleep. Poor sleep can actually raise blood pressure, canceling out the benefits of the medication. That's why these medications are usually better taken earlier in the day or late afternoon, depending on your doctor's advice. Another group that requires caution is beta blockers. These medications work by slowing down the heart rate. During sleep, your heart rate naturally decreases, so taking them at night can sometimes cause it to drop too low in certain individuals. This can lead to dizziness, fatigue, or other complications. For some people, nighttime dosing may be fine, but it should never be changed without medical supervision. This is one area where guessing can do more harm than good. The safest and smartest approach is simple: have a conversation with your doctor, ask specific questions. What type of medication are you taking? Does timing matter for your case? Would a 24-hour blood pressure monitoring test help reveal your pattern? This test can show exactly how your blood pressure behaves throughout the day and night, giving a complete picture instead of just isolated readings. The more information you have, the better your decisions will be. Daniel's story isn't just about one person, it represents something much bigger. Millions of people follow routines without ever questioning them. Sometimes the biggest breakthroughs don't come from new treatments, but from looking at old habits in a new way. For Daniel, it took one question to unlock years of relief. He didn't change his medication. He didn't overhaul his lifestyle. He simply adjusted the timing, guided by proper understanding, and that small shift gave him his mornings back. Your body has a rhythm. Your blood pressure follows a pattern every single day, whether you're aware of it or not. The early morning surge doesn't skip a day, it shows up like clockwork. The real question is, are you protected when it happens? Or is your medication wearing off right when you need it most? Before making any changes, talk to your doctor, but don't ignore the question, because sometimes one small adjustment can change everything. Now I want to hear from you. What time do you take your blood pressure medication? Morning or night? And more importantly, has anyone ever told you why? Drop your answer below, and if this made you think differently, share it with someone who needs to hear this, because the right information at the right time can save more than just numbers, it can change lives.